In this position, white is to play, and it's a position from the Spanish opening. And in the Spanish opening, there's a saying, if white gets a knight to f5, he wins. And here Tal has managed to get such a knight to f5, and this knight is even supported by a colleague on h4. And white also has the queen on f3 in attacking position, and also this bishop on d2 working on the diagonal to h6. How would you continue as white here? Bishop h6. This is what Tal played, setting under fire this point g7 and exploiting the fact that the white queen is ready to go to the g file. So after pawn takes h6, simply check on g3 with a catastrophe. Bishop h6, very good. Bishop h6, Tal's choice, exploiting the fact that the white queen on f3 is ready to go to g3 and hitting this point g7 once again. So if black captures, queen g3 is winning. As I pointed out before, this immediate sacrifice, knight g7, is very attractive, very tempting, but it doesn't work for white. King takes, now knight f5 check. King h8 is harmless, and if bishop h6 check, also black goes king h8 with an advantage. Not good would be to capture the second piece, because after knight f5 check, king g6, queen g3, white regains both pieces, both sacrificed pieces. Knight g4 is forced, bishop g5 is forced, and now h4, and white is better. So knight takes g7 immediately is attractive, but it doesn't work. Knight e8, and now you are to play like Tal again. How would you continue here as white? Knight takes g7, definitely the right way of sacrificing on this point, and you've seen it. Knight to g7 wins the game. Very good. Knight takes g7 was Tal's move, your move, and it's a bit ironic that Tal sacrificed on g7 only after black had protected this square with this knight. Knight takes g7, bishop g7 is not so good. Knight takes g7, queen g3, bishop f6. But after knight takes g7, knight takes g7, after bishop h4, white simply goes knight takes e8, and after rook takes queen g4, we have a catastrophe on the dark squares. Knight takes g7, and now white wins back his material. He plays queen to g3, hitting this knight. Bishop f6 is now answered by knight f5, and g7 can't be protected, so black must play bishop g5 in order to avoid the catastrophe here. But now white simply takes f6 and goes back with his bishop, has won a pawn and still a very strong attack against the weakened black king. So, yeah, once again, in the Spanish opening, if white gets the knight to f5, he wins. Bishop h6. This is what Tal played, setting under fire this point g7 and exploiting the fact that the white queen is ready to go to the g file. So after pawn takes h6, simply check on g3 with a catastrophe. Bishop h6, very good.